Derek Carr. For the last 3 weeks, I've heard you guys talking about how he's the third best quarterback and everything in the division, which is agreeable. But he has literally top 10 in every single offensive position. Position players, Hunter Renfrow, top slot receiver, top wide receiver. He has a good head coach. He just signed a 3-year extension with a no trade clause. So I just think he has more to prove just to change the narrative of the whole thing. That's why the last 2 weeks you guys have been talking about the Raiders regressing from last year, ending up in second in their division. And it just doesn't click in my head how they're going to regress when their roster's gotten better and they've gotten all the tools on the defensive side and on the offensive side.
Dan, I only feel like there's somewhat of a built-in excuse for Derek if it doesn't go as planned. Just Josh McDaniels first, even though it's his second stint, first year trying to figure that whole thing out.
We should get back to that topic. I think it's a good one. I also don't think he has the most at stake, but for another reason, and Key, I'm sure has stuff to say about it. Diana's with us now. Apparently the audio issues are fixed. Can you hear us, Diana?
Hi, guys. Good morning. Yeah, good to be with you. And I just listened to that caller, and I agree with some of the things he's saying. And, Jay, I hear you. There is definitely some built-in excuses there for Derek Carr. But if you were to put me just on the spot right now and say which quarterback has they've got to win this year, to me, it's actually Jalen Hurts. They've given him everything. Look at this defense now. The trades are making. I mean, Howie Roseman is still doing work, and we're just a few days out from the start of the season to try to put this team in position to win. And what do we always do when we talk about the Eagles? We go through their lines. We say how good they are. We talk about their weapons. We talk about Sirianni's offense. His scheme seems to fit this team really well. But question marks about the quarterback. So I think this has got to be the season he comes through and shows Philly that he's their guy.
Yeah, Diana's right about that. She is certainly right about Jalen Hurts and everything that they've done with Jalen Hurts and getting Carson Wentz out of there, kind of giving him the team, building the team around him, getting the receiver, drafting well on the defensive side of the ball. And on top of that, as you know, Max and Jay, as I've always said, when it comes to certain positions, these coaches and front office people listen to the outside noise. So if there's a narrative that Jalen Hurts isn't doing anything but holding them back, even though the coaches and the front office people may see it a little bit different, if that noise gets loud, then they'll start to look to replace him. But if he quiets that noise with his play, then they can move on and do something else with those draft picks.
Yeah, this is a big season for Jalen Hurts, a big season for a lot of quarterbacks. What kind of season do you think the Patriots are going to have, Diana?
I think it's going to be just okay. I have some concerns. Guys, we've never seen an offseason like this for New England, at least as long as I've been alive. With Bill Belichick being there and obviously Tom Brady all those years held that team to such high standards, and there was so much accountability. And we know it's been a 3-year transition here without Brady being there. But just too much uncertainty right now is coming out of camp from the way this offensive line play looks to Mac Jones just having a so-so training camp. And then, guys, you look at their schedule for just how they start the season at Miami. New England has always struggled in Miami. It's hot. If Brady had a problem there, you think Mac Jones isn't going to have a problem there? Then they got the Steelers. Let's just give them the win there, all right? Let's just say, Bill can come up with some good scheme there to mess with Mitchell Trubisky if he is officially named the starter there. Then they're at Green Bay. This is just a really hard September for the Patriots, and they could dig themselves in a really deep hole if it doesn't get fixed. And I know Mac Jones recently said that they've ironed out some of these issues that we saw in those preseason games, but I don't know, that Vegas game was, 3 days ago? Really? You fixed it already? Wow, good. But, I don't have a lot of confidence, as I'm sure you can hear in my voice.
Diana, the other day I was talking to somebody close to the organization for the Pats, and we were having an in-depth conversation around the fact that one of the reasons why Tom Brady left is due to personnel decisions and where the team was going. You're saying, hey, this is one of the worst off seasons. Are we getting to that point where the system that Bill Belichick has put in place, that maybe that's not the right system for the Pats as it relates to the personnel that he's deciding to draft? As it relates, like, do we need to start talking about him relinquishing some control around who he's drafting and some of those personnel decisions?
Gosh, you will never hear me go on television or the radio or write about Bill Belichick not having the answers. It's just too difficult for me because he just gets the benefit of the doubt. I understand the space you're going in, though. I understand there's questions about Bill Belichick, the GM, right? I think we've criticized him before about it, but here's, Josh McDaniels, his former offensive coordinator, obviously now the head coach of the Raiders, recently shared some insight into Bill and said sometimes he sees things that we don't all see, and Bill's usually right in the end there. And any coach I ever have chatted with who's been part of that New England way has always shared that coaching side, the brilliance behind Bill Belichick. So do I think the Bill Belichick way has run its course in New England? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Do I think that there's been some questionable decisions from a personnel decision? Yeah. And they're going to feel some pressure because, guys, Robert Kraft said pretty much after the season last year, like, okay, I'm done with this window of not going to the playoffs because we're talking 3 seasons now. New England hasn't made it.
Not winning in the playoffs, yeah. Not winning in the playoffs.
Excuse me, not winning in the playoffs, yeah. So he's done with that. And look, Mr. Kraft has lived a pretty fantastic life being the owner of the New England Patriots, winning so much in the playoffs of the past. But there's a standard there. And right now, I just, I've covered New England for so long. This has been the most unusual offseason, knowing that they haven't made any firm decisions. They're doing this cat and mouse game with the play calling. Is it Matt Patricia? Which essentially, Max, it is. It's going to be Matt Patricia. And there's no consistency there. So Jay, it's hard to sit here right now and say to you, yeah, we need to hammer Bill Belichick, the GM, and they need to change their ways. They haven't lost and done enough, let's just say, bad for me to go there yet.
Well, maybe not for you to go there yet, but I do understand you do need to go. We do need to let you go because you have things to do. So, as always, Diana.
No.
You look amazing, Diana. I just want to say that. There you go. Just wanted to say
Oh, Jay. Hi. Thanks.
Notice she didn't tell you that you looked amazing.
I know.
She said, Jay, hi. She didn't say, hey, Jay, you too. You look amazing.
I'm confident. I'm good.
She got a whole thing on. You got a green sweatshirt. Come on. All right. Thanks, Diana. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
as always.
Thank you, guys. Love you.
So, you too. So, the thing about Belichick, the GM, is I'm just going to say it. And you guys can say, oh, you're saying this and that. I'm just saying what I'm saying. I'm not saying anything more than this. When you put a competent team together, everywhere you look, as Key pointed out yesterday, very few Hall of Famers, but competent players wherever you look who can do the thing you need them to do. And you have Tom Brady, you win a lot of Super Bowls. When you have competency wherever you look, and you don't have Tom Brady, you're a good team. You're good. You're fine. You might make the playoffs. You might not. You may not win in the playoffs. And maybe Bill Belichick, the GM, worked when Tom Brady was the quarterback to the tune of championships. Maybe Bill Belichick, the GM, works like a better-than-average team without
Let me
Tom
ask
Brady
you something,
there.
Max. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What constitutes it working for a general manager?
Well, as I said, if the standard is winning championships, making playoff runs, winning games in the playoffs,
Okay.
then if your team is competent everywhere, but as you point out, very few Hall of Famers, you need something special at quarterback to be more than just a, 9-win team, maybe 10 wins, maybe you make the playoffs, you're a wild card, you lose, maybe every once in a while you win a playoff game. That's a competent GM.
So
Yeah.
the New England Patriots have only been a once in a while win a playoff game organization?
Without Tom Brady. I'm saying without Tom Brady.
It doesn't matter with or without Tom Brady.
But Key, wait a minute.
Tom
Matt
Brady's
Castle didn't go to the
first three-
playoffs.
But that was the numbers. That had something to do with the numbers. They won 11 games.
Yeah.
That had something to do with the numbers. I don't know mathematically how they got eliminated or whatever. They did win 11
But let's say they
games.
would have gone to the playoffs, and they would. The point is that wasn't a team that
No,
was going to make a playoff
that's not the point,
run.
though. That's not your point. Your point was that Bill Belichick essentially sucks at his general manager job because he hasn't been to the playoffs and won the playoffs since Tom Brady.
Hold on. Don't put. I just said that's a competent GM. That's fine. That's above average. Like, hey, if you're competent everywhere, but if the standard is making runs in the playoffs, and you look at a team that's simply competent everywhere, no Hall of Famers, no guys who really pop, then you need a special quarterback.
You see, I think that's a fair point, but I don't think it takes away from the greatness of Bill Belichick.
But here's what I'm going to say.
It makes the goodness. It points out the
One
goodness
of the things, your argument is flawed because Tom Brady's first 3 Super Bowls, there was no Hall of Famers on that team.
Except for Tom Brady.
But he
Tom
wasn't
Brady
Tom
was
Brady
not a Hall
of old.
Tom Brady was not a Hall of Famer.
But see what you're doing?
But he wasn't a Hall of Famer.
Now what you're doing is you're